Thank you for having me here. My name is Randhir Singh. I'm the Director Electric Mobility at NITI Aayog. I'm working in end-to-end EV domain. It includes the battery part, advanced chemistry cell program, battery swapping, battery standards, as well as the manufacturing and other scheme side. For 2030, India has set the ambitious target to reduce the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons from now, and also to reduce the carbon intensity of its economy to less than 45%. In addition to this, India is a signatory of EV 30 at 30. Therefore, the government intends to achieve minimum 30% electric vehicle sales by 2030 in a major drive for decarbonizing the transport sector. A transition to electric mobility is critical to decarbonize the transport sector and support India in achieving its emissions reduction targets. Many components of the policy framework required to boost the transportation sector's ambition, they are already in place in India. However, strengthening these by applying lessons from worldwide best practice examples while keeping in mind the unique conditions of Indian subcontinent would make a substantial contribution in decarbonizing the transportation industry. The contribution of the transport sector to breathing level PM 2.5 air quality, it varies from 20 to 35% in urban centers. The greenhouse gas emission can well be above 30%, over 50% of the total NOx and 10% of the non-methane hydrocarbon. This calls for action to reduce the air pollution in urban centers because of transport sector, and hence EVs present the most viable solution as of now. To develop the EV ecosystem, there are three different parts. First is the supply side, second, the manufacturing side, and the third is the demand side. We have seen that all these parts are being tackled through policy initiatives at federal and state level. At federal level, if I talk about in particular, that in last few months, government has come out with three key commitments. The first one is the ACC program, that is Advanced Chemistry Cell program, which has an outlay of 2.5 billion US dollar over the period of 5 years. India has quadrupled its imports of lithium ion batteries and more than tripled its import bill on the product, which is vital for powering a range of devices from cell phones to electric vehicles from 2016 to 2018. In addition to this, the cost advantage, that is economies of scale, is not available to Indian consumers as most of the material in the advanced chemistry cells or the lithium ion cells as of now is imported. Hence, at cell level, the cost in India is 30 to 40% higher compared to the countries where these cells are produced at giga scale. Batteries form the most expensive part of the electric vehicles, around 40 to 45% of the total vehicle cost. Hence, Advanced Chemistry Cell program directly attacks this issue. The bids were called under this program for 50 gigawatt hour of capacity installation. And the industry response, I must say, to this highly technical and first of its kind bid with QCBS mechanism, quality cost based mechanism, is overwhelming. 10 bidders quoted for the capacity, which has a ceiling of minimum 5 gigawatt hour per bidder and the maximum of 20 gigawatt hour per bidder. Under this scheme, the bidders were encouraged to form the consortiums with the lead member should have minimum of 26% of the total share. And the scheme has been oversubscribed 2.6 times. That is, quotas received for 128 gigawatt hour against 50 gigawatt hour. I'll repeat this line, that quotes has been received for 128 gigawatt hour against 50 gigawatt hour. The program has just two milestones. Number one, achieve minimum 25% localization at cell level in 2 years from the letter of award. Number two, Achieve 60% of minimum localization within 5 years of letter of award. The program runs for the 7 years. In addition to this, the bonus is being given if in future manufacturers shift to the better technology of cell within the defined parameters of the cycle life and the cell density against the quoted one. That is, if the manufacturer moves horizontally right or vertically down in the defined matrix, then they get the benefit bonus as per the formula which is already been there in the bid. Second thing which government did is the remodeling of the FAME 2 incentives. It has 1.5 billion US dollar outlay and it addresses the demand side of EVs. This not only takes care of the vehicle side manufacturing but localization as well as the demand too. For the EVs to be approved under FAME 2, faster adoption for manufacturing of electric vehicles, there is a program called Phased Manufacturing Program. We call it PMP. Manufacturers of EVs have to have the plan and localize a certain percentage at every part level in a vehicle to enroll for FAME 2 incentive. This has helped in controlling the quality, fast tracking the localization of EVs and its parts, and passing on the benefit to the end customer. Since India is primarily a two-wheeler dominated market, with two-wheeler comprising of almost 80% of the total automotive sector in India, the incentive has been focused and remodeled to push this sector as well as the public transport. For two-wheelers, the incentive has been increased to INR 15,000 rupees per kilowatt hour. But the game changer is the increase in the ceiling, which has been increased from 20% to 40% of the total vehicle price. This simply means that if you have a 3 kilowatt hour of the battery and the price of your vehicle is 100,000, you will get minimum 40,000 rupees of the subsidy. 15,000 into 3 comes the 45,000, but since 40% ceiling, so 40,000 of the total vehicle price you will get. This has resulted in the lower upfront cost of the vehicle for the consumer and brought it at par with the IC vehicles. Upfront cost I am talking about. Of course, at the TCO, that is total cost of ownership level, it was cheaper even the earlier also with respect to the internal combustion engines. Similarly, in bus and the three-wheeler segment, the power of aggregation is being used to bring down the cost and bring up the manufacturing. CESL has been appointed to execute it. The response for buses and the three-wheeler is also overwhelming. In fact, both are oversubscribed. This will not only result in manufacturing push with local content in these segments also, but this will also help the consumers to have the best vehicle with the best features at the lowest cost. Further, to boost the part and advanced component manufacturing in automotive sector, Auto PLI with 3.5 billion US dollar outlay has been executed. Already bids for this also been, I'll repeat this. Already bids have been received under this program and are under evaluation stage. This will not only ensure that we manufacture in India, but also that we manufacture the best of the vehicle, best of the technology, the cutting edge technology, parts and the systems in this sunrise area with continuous improvement. Apart this, most of us are aware that due to telecommunication and EVs boom, auto industry worldwide has to strive hard to get their share of semiconductors. Therefore, the third biggest announcement is the semiconductor PLI with 10 billion US dollar outlay. This has been launched and this shall have the multiplier effect across the industry, be it electric vehicles, other automotive, telecommunication, consumer electronics, or industrial application. These are just few big schemes at federal level. In addition to this, close to 16 states have already launched their electric vehicle specific policies and around 6 are at draft stage. These policies not only provide the fiscal but not fiscal incentives also for the manufacturing as well as the adoption of the EVs. All the above efforts have resulted in multifold increase in EV sales since June 2021, when the remodeled FAME 2 and other two PLIs were also launched. And in December 2021, the highest ever registrations of greater than 50,000 have been recorded in EVs. Now, several homegrown startups have come up in EV domain with innovative business models, such as battery swapping, vehicle and battery leasing, battery as a service. This not only shows the confidence in EV regulatory and manufacturing setup, which this country is progressing towards, but also, just one second, I'll repeat this.
No problem, yeah.
Several homegrown startups have come up in EV domain with innovative business models. In fact, in budget 2020, this year's budget also, the battery swapping, battery as a service, battery leasing, this has already been announced and it will be done in mission mode, both the scheme, policy, as well as the standards part for the interoperability. And all these startups are having these things already in place. This not only shows the confidence in EV regulatory and manufacturing setup which this country is progressing towards, but also gives a good signal to the investors outside. Further, to increase the awareness and support the industry to shift to EVs, NITI Aayog is supporting a branding program called as Shunya. In fact, recently we launched the brand Shunya ad film also, which you can see across all the ride-hailing, e-tailer, or everybody's platform. What it does is it brings all the ride hailing and delivery companies like Amazon, Swiggy, and all together to use the Shunya brand for zero emission delivery and mobility. Further, we should be aware that local manufacturing, etc., cannot be pushed if we don't have our own testing and manufacturing standards in EV sector. The conditions prevailing in India are totally different than the rest of the world. Our trajectory is totally different. Tropical climate, driving conditions, road conditions, along with the quality of power, it varies a lot. Hence, the government, along with the BIS, is leading the standards framing process, and already several standards, almost 17 of them, in even at least in the charging area, with safety and operational requirements, has already been launched. This includes, of course, the charging infrastructure, and these standards drive the manufacturability and the localization for India or Asia Pacific needs, so to say. I'm sure with above concentrated efforts of government and industry, both at the state and the sector level, we will achieve much more than 30% of the new vehicle sales in EVs by 2030 with maximum local content. Thank you very much.